I want you to seriously and slowly think about what I'm saying here. We are witnessing a shift, a complete and total collapse of everything that we currently know. Okay, let's get into it. Almost everything from 1,000 years ago is no longer here. Now, there's a few things like the Great Pyramids or some, crazy stuff. But 99% of society from 1,000 years ago is not here. 99% of society from 500 years ago, a little bit before Columbus, is not here. You don't drive down the highway and see tens of thousands of Native American Indians living in teepees in South Dakota. So that's all gone. That's 500 years ago. Okay, let's go to something more recent. The Civil War, 150 years ago, cowboys in the Old West, the cavalry, United States Cavalry. It's all gone. That whole world, all over the world, is no longer here. Doesn't exist. None of the money they used back then is here. None of the ways they lived or cooked or got water or made moonshine, it's all gone. 99% of it is gone. They say, well, it takes a long time. No, it used to take a long time. Today we have something they never had, technology. We are seeing like a 100-fold deterioration compared to like 300 years ago. It says in the book of Ecclesiastes, nothing is new. It was here before, and it'll be gone soon, and soon you will be gone. I'm telling you, you better give your life to Jesus Christ. Now, we are witnessing, the Bible says, the Bible says we are witnessing the end days. The war you're seeing between Iran and Israel, I don't know. It might be the Psalm 83 war going on right now. We're supposed to have the Psalm 83 war and then later the war of Gog and Magog. So, and then the rapture, and then the 7-year tribulation. It says they will burn off the weapons used in the war of Gog and Magog for 7 years during the tribulation. Now, we're either seeing the Psalm 83 war between Iran and Israel, or we're seeing Israel start the kindling and antagonizing all their neighbors, so to speak, and then a war will come in a few years, very shortly here. We're either in the Psalm 83 war now, or it's coming soon. Now, you can't, if you're not a Bible study person, you can't just read Psalm 83 and understand what it means. You'd have to look it up. It's either 83 or 86. Psalm 83 or 86. Okay, let's go. Let's just go to the last century, the 1920s. You don't see anything from the 1920s, do you? Oh, you might see some old man has a Model T in his garage or something like that. 99% of everything from 100 years ago is gone. Now, if you don't believe me, ask a young person. Ask the young generation, Gen Z. Everything that their parents and grandparents own and did, Gen Z wants nothing to do with it. And I'm not exaggerating. Go ask them. They want nothing to do with any of this stuff. They are planning on not touching one single thing that their parents or grandparents touched. How many items, how many technology items from the 1970s are we using? We're not. You know, I was lucky enough to grow up in a time, no cell phones, Saturday night, no one calling you. You would just sit around, you'd eat dinner, then you'd go outside and run around on the farm. Didn't stay inside and watch TV because TV was stupid back then. It was like Dallas and it was all adult soap operas. I grew up, the daytime was soap operas, and at night it was adult grown-up soap operas. So there really was, or hee-haw. There was really nothing for a kid to watch. So I didn't watch a lot of TV growing up. Now I don't own a TV. I don't miss it. I'd go outside, shoot my BB gun. I'd walk around with a flashlight. I'd go camping in a tent. I'd look at the stars at night. Yeah, just look at the fireflies. Go outside and play with my cat. Had an outdoor cat. Everything you see from the 70s is almost gone. Okay, let's go up to 2010. Just 16 years ago. All the prices are gone. 95% of the prices from 2010 are gone. They have all doubled, tripled, or quadrupled. Food has doubled in 5 years. Housing has doubled in 5 years. Automobiles have doubled in 5 years. Wow. You remember we had a 1980 Geo Metro. They used to make fun of that car. Got 40 miles to the gallon. Some of them got 50 miles to the gallon. They got 40 miles to the gallon, got you all over. They're very reliable little car to go back and forth. You know, I would even take the Yugo back compared to the cars we have today. The Yugo, they said it was a piece of junk, but you could get a good 50 or 60,000 miles out of a Yugo, and they were so cheap. They were so cheap. You could drive that thing for like 8 years back and forth to the store. And now what are they doing? They're making every automobile bigger than your living room. They say they want to save the world, but they're making all the automobiles bigger than your living room. It's the craziest thing. Your bathroom, your entire bathroom is smaller than your SUV. That's so weird. Okay, now what are we witnessing? We're seeing AI, artificial intelligence. Look at all the fake videos on YouTube. I can't even tell some of them are fake or not. I have no idea. I'm just an old guy. I'm no expert. But I do know wisdom, and I do know what I've seen in 64 years almost. And I do know that certain things, you know, we had solar energy in the 1960s, but then they canceled it out. We had cars that got 40 miles to the gallon, but then they canceled them out. In the 60s and 70s, they started community gardens, so you could get half your vegetables from a community garden for free. Well, they got rid of those. They did start planting millions of trees all over American cities, but then they cut them all down because they said it's too much when the leaves fall off the tree. It's too much. It's too expensive for the cleanup. Now we're seeing office buildings empty, $450,000 houses. I was driving by some rich people's houses today. $800,000 houses out here on the Oregon coast. And I said to my wife, do you know how much it costs every month to upkeep that house, keep it up? I mean, not even taxes, title, insurance, none of that stuff. Water, none of that. I mean, just repairs, lawn care, pressure washing, window washing, mow the lawn, fix the brick, the sidewalk when they crack. I mean, it costs like, for $800,000 house, you're going to spend like $25,000 every year just in the upkeep. We got adults 40 years old moving out to the Arizona desert, and they're living in tool sheds. They're buying 5 acres, 10 acres, 20 acres, or they're living in an RV tool shed. And then they're just looking for, they like drive an hour to Tucson and work for 4 days and then come back to the property for 3 days and live in their car for 4 days a week. Or they're doing remote work, which you have to have some kind of internet out there. Well, let me wrap this up. We are witnessing a complete and total collapse of everything from about 2010, 2015 up until now, and by 2040, most of the things, it's going to be the shortest nostalgic, time frame. You know what I mean by nostalgic? I mean, you like toaster ovens from the 60s and 70s, and it's going to be the shortest nostalgic time frame. They say the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. Things are going away so fast. When I was growing up, we had cast iron pans for like 70 years in the family. And we used them for 70 years. Today, you buy a pan and you throw it away every 2 or 3 years because it's no good. Every car you see on the road today will be gone in 10 years because they're all junk. They're falling apart. They're always getting recalled, and nobody can afford to repair them. Mechanics are quitting faster than they can hire them. People have stopped having children because they can't afford them. People are looking for alternative ways to live. I saw a guy today, I say he was 45 years old. He was living on it wasn't a short bus and it wasn't a long, but it was a medium bus. And he was on there with his wife and children. And they were homeschooling. And because they can't afford it. People can't afford health care. Health care alone is going to bankrupt America. When you tell a young person you need $100,000 for the American dream, and they say, okay, tell me where to go get that job and I'll get it. And then they go down and get the job and they go, we pay $22 an hour to stand at Amazon 40, 50, 60 hours a week in one spot. And if you're not continuously working, we're going to fire you. And they say, well, $22 an hour, that's only $700 a week after taxes. That's only $35,000 a year. So how am I going to afford the American dream at $100,000 when I only bring home $35,000 for being abused? Now, if you work overtime, you'll bring home $45,000. That's less than half. So people have given up on that American dream. See, it was a nostalgic thing from the 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, and then it started to die. Did you know in the year like 2000, that's when houses went to 250,000? Between 2000 and 2010, they went back up to 250,000. That's interesting because in the early 1990s, like 1989, 1991, that same house was like $149,000 just 10 years earlier. Okay, in 2018, houses were $250,000. In 2026, houses are $440,000. It doesn't really matter what the interest rate is. It doesn't matter what the payment is. You won't qualify for the house anyway. If you go to a bank and say, I work 50 hours a week at Amazon and I bring home $45,000 a year, they'll say, sorry, you don't qualify for a house. You don't make enough money. You're only supposed to put, well, that's funny because when I was younger, you were supposed to put about 6 to 7% of your check towards a car. And then you were supposed a car payment. Then you were supposed to put less than 25% of your pay towards a house payment or rent. And if you notice, they always change everything. That's why they change, so they can change all the rules. Now they say, well, we don't want you to spend more than 20% on a car and more than 50% on a house payment, 50% of your income. Let me tell you, now listen to this. If you have $50,000 in a savings account and you're 100% debt free and you have an income, whether it's Social Security or a job, and you can live on less than you earn, and you save the rest every month, do you know that puts you in the bracket of the top 23% richest Americans? That's horrible. And it also puts you in the bracket of the top like 18 or 19% richest person in the world. Even after, you adjust for each country. If you have $50,000, you're 100% debt free, you earn more than you spend each month, and you save the rest, you are in the top 23% of wealthiest Americans. Now, what does that mean? It means in the United States of America in 2026, 77% of everybody else is doing worse than that equation. They're doing worse. They don't have 50,000. They're not debt free. They don't make more than they earn. They don't make more than they spend. And they don't save anything every month. That's the other 77% of Americans. Now, it sounds strange because an 18-year-old can stay at home and save $50,000 in 2 years living with his parents and be 100% debt-free, have a used car, and spend less than he earns and save the rest and be in the top 25% of richest and wealthiest Americans. But a middle-class person with the house and the 2 car payments and the credit card payments and the student loan payments is doing worse than that. So let me wrap this up. What we're seeing is a total collapse of everything you've seen since the year 2000 up until 2026. But actually, even you guys know more than I do about technology and stuff. Everything from the year 2000 to 2010 is already gone. That's all history. I mean, I'm 64 years old this year, and even I can see that most of that stuff is no longer around. So now they're trying to get rid of the money. They started with the penny. Now they're going to try to get rid of the money and just do all digital or crypto. Or you saw silver went to $120 and now it's back down to 67. Gold was at 5,500, now it's at 4,500. We live in a crazy world. Crypto was 120,000, now it's only 70,000. It went down to 65. Everything, this is the whole point of this video. Everything you see is disappearing at an extraordinarily fast pace. And it's by design, in my opinion. The multi-billionaires around the world who control the world. Now, what they say, there's about 10 or 11,000 people in the world, the 10 or 11,000 richest people in the world that control 93% of all the wealth in the world. So there's only like 10, 12,000 people, all billionaires, multi-billionaires. And everybody else is, 50% of the world is poor. I mean, worldwide. Now, they might do okay, like in Guatemala or something. They might make a 3,000 or 4,000 a year and have a garden and a donkey and some sheep or goats for milk or. But that doesn't mean they have anything. It just means they're living comfortably, surviving with food and clothing. Everything you see in America is disappearing. 70 million baby boomers are going to disappear in 30 years. Now, I don't know if you know this, but the baby boomers in China, there's 400 million in 30 years. The population of China, they said, is going to drop by 30% in 30 years. There is 400 million people retiring in China. 10 years to 30 years, they'll all be dead. Same in America, 10 years to 30 years, our population is going to go down 70 million people. It's going to bankrupt the entire country. You say, well, there'd be a lot of jobs then. No, it's one of the reasons they're getting robots and artificial intelligence is because they know the working class is gone. I mean, most of the people my age who are way overqualified, they're pumping gas, they're running a cash register, they're working at a gift shop, they're working at Subway sandwiches, they're stocking shelves at a grocery store. These are all people that are already on Social Security. They're just supplementing their income. I would say a third of them ride a bicycle to work just to save money. Don't you see? We're not advancing here. Our country's going backwards so fast. And I like Donald Trump, and I also like Joe Biden, and I also like Barack Obama. I like Bill Clinton, and I like George Bush. I thought they all had some good qualities. But Donald Trump is not going to be able to save what is taking place. It's not going to happen. He's already canceled tens of thousands of jobs in America just in the government. The job creation is negative now. There are billionaires around the globe calling for unemployment so they can get, go look it up. They're calling for high unemployment so they can get the workers back in line. They think that the workers are paid too much and too far out of control and want too many benefits. There's going to come a day, if they don't get control of this, when someone gives you a present for your birthday, it'll be like a pound of coffee. I want you to think about what I just said. If you get a pound of coffee for your birthday, you will feel like you're one of the luckiest people, and you'll run home and hide it so nobody tries to take it. Now, you know, there's people going to disagree with what I'm saying. Say, oh, no, we're doing great. No, I'm telling you, only 20% of Americans are doing great. Really good. And 80% are not doing great. And out of that 80, 50% are struggling. And out of that 80, the bottom 40% are on poverty level or on some kind of government assistance. They might still be working, but they're still getting some kind of government assistance. And Donald Trump says he's going to cut all that assistance and take it away. Whew. I know the food banks around here are just screaming for donations because the federal government stopped sending a lot of the money to them. So we're seeing things that are just, and even if the Democrats get back in power, we are $40 trillion in debt. $40 trillion in debt. So if the Democrats get back in and come back and spend another $5 or $6 trillion and start giving away money again, we're going to be $45 trillion in debt. And having that much debt is like a hot air balloon. It's going to come down eventually. You saw the stock market went down and had a big, huge correction this week. Gold and silver are dropping back to what was normal. I'm telling you, let me wrap this up. Regardless of what happens in the future, the best thing you can do is become 100% debt-free, sell your house, put all the money in an FDIC insured savings account with only 1% interest, start a garden in your backyard. But if you sell your house, start a garden in your balcony, your terrace, wherever. Grow tomatoes in your apartment. Whatever your take-home pay is between you and your spouse, live on 75% and save 25%. Become 100% debt-free. Start growing some of your own food. Figure out how to get water in an emergency, drinking water. You should have all kinds of water filters at your house, like camping water filters. And stock some food, some canned food, and start your savings account. And within 3 years, you'll be in the top 25% of richest Americans. I know it sounds crazy, but it sounds so easy to do. And get rid of all your car payments and buy a used car. Stop working 40 minutes away from your house and start working. See, once you're debt free, then you can just work 1 mile away from your house at a grocery store for $20 an hour. And you can just ride a bicycle 6 months a year to the grocery store. And you are living your best life. You don't have to go to the gym. Just ride a bicycle to work 1 mile away. Well, what I'm saying here is, whatever you decide, I mean, there's going to be hundreds of millions of Americans that are going to be suffering here in the next few years. Things are going, well, I used to say things are going to collapse, but I'm saying things are disappearing. It's all disappearing. Look at the videos online. People are screaming, I can't even pay my electric bill. I mean, we're living in a country where a large portion of Americans who are making $80,000 a year cannot afford to live. I don't care if you have to move to Iowa, like Des Moines, Iowa, and get an apartment for $900 a month. Change your life. Turn your entire life around. Because it's coming. It's like a steam locomotive train, a steam engine. It's going and it's not going to stop. It's going to change whether you're ready or not. Life it's kind of like a big, huge lawnmower. It's coming towards you, and you better be ready. If you're not debt free and you don't have a savings, and you get all your money out of the stock market, just my opinion. And what if you lost your job tomorrow and you're single? I just had a close friend. They said because it was winter in a restaurant. Now this is the first time this ever happened. They said there's no hours this year in the restaurant during the winter to wash dishes. There wasn't enough hour business to keep a dishwasher 20 hours a week. Dang, that's blowing my mind. If you could understand the things I understand. Because I worked in restaurants for 25 years. I've never seen it to where a restaurant couldn't afford a dishwasher. And now they can't afford a dishwasher, and they're making the cook do the dishes, or the owner's doing the dishes. So what's next? We'll give you a free piece of pie if you do the dishes after you're done eating. They're going to have the customers wash the dishes. I mean, for a free piece of pie, I would wash my own dishes, sure. So that's what I'm telling you. There's going to be two types of Americans here in the next few years after the next collapse. Those who are ready, like I said, you have some savings, you have a job that's so stupid they couldn't possibly get rid of you. Like, I don't know, working at a drive-thru or something. If you can always just get $15 an hour, and survive, you'll be fine. Or if you can live on less than your Social Security, you'll be fine. I have another friend who's been living in a van. He's my age, like 60. He's been living in a van in this area for 8 years on $1,000 a month disability. 8 years. Now, I'm just giving you one example. There are obviously dozens of people doing this in every small town in America. I live in a town of 10,000, and we now have a homeless shelter. That's crazy. I live in a town of 10,000, and there's probably 80 homeless people in this town. Of only 10,000 people? That means there's 80 homeless people in every town on the entire Oregon coast. Every small town. That's just crazy, I'm telling you. Well, that's all I got to say. There's going to be those who are ready, and that's going to be about 25% of people. And the other 75% are going to be suffering in some way or another, I'm sorry to say. Because you're going to owe too much money, and either the husband or the wife will lose their job. Just like in 2008, the Great Recession. And your income will be cut by 40%, and you won't be able to make it. They'll come and repossess your car. They'll start foreclosing on your house, which takes about 6 months. It's a whole nightmare. It'll be a nightmare scenario. That's what happened in 2008. And I believe the next one is going to be worse, about twice as bad as 2008, I'd say. I wouldn't be surprised if it was more. like up to 3 or 2.5 times bad. Why? Because when everything collapsed in 2008, they were only collapsing on $180,000 houses. They were only collapsing on $25,000 car loans. They were only collapsing with a couple thousand in credit cards. They were only collapsing with, 10 or 12,000 in student loan debt. Today, when they collapse, they're going to collapse on $500,000 houses. They're going to collapse on $120,000 pickup trucks. They're going to collapse on $60,000 cars. They're going to collapse on $80,000 student loan debt, which you still have to pay back because a bankruptcy doesn't take it away. So the next collapse is already 3 times bigger financially. Well, I would say here, I'm a Christian on this channel, and I follow Jesus Christ, and I read the Bible, and that's where I get all this wisdom. It's not mine. I'm only borrowing it from God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, all the same one God. This isn't something I'm not smart like that. No. I just been a Christian my whole life since age 10. So for 54 years I've been a Christian. And I've seen it, and it's never wrong. And I'm telling you, I'm not trying to get you to worry. I'm trying to get you to prepare. Just one thing, just cook all your meals at home. Make your coffee at home and take it with you for 50 cents. You don't have to have a $5 coffee. You can have a 50-cent coffee, and you can put $4.50 in the savings account. I'll leave you with this one fact. The time you need money is usually the time people don't have it. So for example, the time you're going to wish you had a savings account of even $10,000 or $15,000. It's like the grasshopper and the ant. The grasshopper plays around and eats, corn all day, corn stalks, and the ant works diligently all day collecting food. Or it's like the squirrel in the forest. Any forest in America, squirrels always gather nuts, berries, twigs, acorns, whatever, in a big, huge hole for the winter. So I'll leave you there. In my personal opinion, a bad winter, financial winter, a financial winter is going to hit America coming within a couple years and lasting for several years. So I pray you follow Jesus, read your Bible, talk to Jesus, and get your financial house in order so you don't have to suffer. Now, like I said, not everyone's going to suffer. People who are debt-free won't suffer. People who have money in the bank won't suffer. Matter of fact, when all the price of the cars go down 70%, you'll be able to buy all these really nice $10,000 cars for $3,500. When all these $450,000 houses are foreclosed on, you'll be able to pick one up for $100,000 if you have the cash. That's the way it's always been for 1,000 years. That's the way it's always been, all the way back to Roman times. The same system, same money system. But what are you going to do with this information? If you think you want to avoid suffering, and you think about all your friends and family who are going to be suffering financially, it will also cause a lot of divorces and heartache and health issues. And you have the power to stop it from coming into your life. Now, a lot of young people, a lot of Gen Z are going to be lucky because they weren't old enough to get any debt. They weren't old enough to buy a house. They weren't old enough to go to college yet, so they don't owe anybody any money. And when they see the collapse, they'll say, oh, they'll realize they're some of the lucky ones because they don't owe any money and they can just work 40 hours a week and eat their food and enjoy life.